Friends, thank you very much, Diana, for having me over here. I will go right into the subject. We all know that the schools are having an alarming rise in the number of students who are taking to drugs and substance abuse. And even more saddening is the fact that the number of girls among them is also increasing. So it's high time we sit up and look at things and try to bring about a change. Not just, and the change has to be a holistic one. We are talking about giving children a wholesome environment in schools. I would like to draw your attention to the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act, which was a legislation of Government of India and being implemented all over India, in all the states of India. In Kerala, as was mentioned earlier, I was responsible after retirement as a commission to formulate the rules. So the rules we made have been a little more elaborate, in the sense that we tried to bring in all the criteria that would bring about a holistic development of the child within the school. It did not mean just improvement in the quality of education. Kerala, we already have all our children in schools, so we do not have a problem of bringing them in. The problem is to give them quality education, not just in terms of school books and curriculum and the textbooks, etc. It also meant the full development of the student. And that is why the rules talk about providing them an environment where they get counseling, where they get remedial teaching, where they get opportunities to play, where they get openings in arts and crafts and music. So these are all there on paper. We also have the need for every teacher to maintain a file on each of her students. Not just the academic part, but also the child's personality and behavioral growth, called CCE, where you have a comprehensive development evaluation of the child's curricular and co-curricular development. But what's happening in our schools? We start to look at schools where we have a group of children where the parents are always pressurizing them to do very well and get marks higher than the other child. We also have a system where the teachers are not as committed, I'm talking in a very generalistic manner, are not as committed as earlier. I have heard teachers say, a child comes to my class in class 5, the child doesn't know even the alphabets. The child doesn't have the level of even a 3rd grade student. But I continue with my 5th grade teaching because that's what I'm asked to do. Now we have a section which requires the teacher to take remedial coaching, to give that child remedial teaching. Because you continue pushing the child up, all promotion is one of the curses we have inherited. You promote every child till he reaches the board exams in class 10. So what happens when the child fails and cannot cope with the board exams? You can do two things. You can allow everyone to pass again. You get 99% pass percentage, but the fact remains that the child who has completed 10th class still cannot write a single sentence either in the mother tongue or in English without a mistake. So this is where you need to look at the teacher's dedication, improving the teacher's commitment to her children. And when you look at the child who is unable to cope in the class, what does the child do? That child looks for other avenues because he or she needs to keep occupied. And then when you don't have games, we don't have teachers for all schools do not have teachers for physical education. All schools do not have teachers for arts and crafts and music. You share teachers in the government schools, and most of the aided schools, which form the majority of our this education sector, do not have teachers in these particular subjects. So what happens? The child has no opportunity to show his or her talents in other fields. So I may be poor in maths or physics or chemistry or whatever, but if I am a good singer, if I am a good sports person, if I am a good crafts person, then that gives me a high. That makes me feel good. And as Father said just now, we are made for goodness, we are made for greatness. You don't have that, and then you feel I am nobody. And that is a gap which is spoken about earlier, the gap which Raja spoke about earlier. Somebody else also mentioned it. The gap is there. And where do you feel it? Somebody comes with a drug. I remember when I was district collector in Kollam, there was a school teachers who told me that children always rush to a certain shop to buy soft drinks. And they said they found something funny about it. We checked it because I was a district collector, we got it checked. And we found that that guy was lacing it with some substance. And that was why the children were making a beeline for that particular fellow who was selling it. And we got that removed. But again, this means the teacher has to be vigilant. If that profile of the child, I spoke about CCE, if the teacher was maintaining that profile of the child on a weekly, monthly basis, the teacher would know the behavioral changes in the child, the lack of interest, the change of friends, the child sitting in the last bench, coming late to class. Things would have been so obvious, but our teachers do not write their profile of the child properly as required. There's no authority who looks into this. So therefore, you find the child slipping. So I hope RMSA will push it up, see whether you have these things done properly. We also need to bring in games for children. You don't need much land for football. I know I love football. Children want to play, but in some places you just cannot have football. He spoke about sports. Sam spoke about sports, so is volleyball. It may be just running, just for the heck of it, and enjoying it. So many things can be had in our schools, but we need teachers, we need authorities who take up interest. We have a school health program. If the school health program was functioning properly, again a cue for you. If the school health program, we had a health card. The rules for this act maintains that you need to have a school health card. If you have a school health card, things like the drug use could be, you can find out of these things. And the excise department needs to be a little more proactive, not only in finding out people who are using alcohol while driving, they need to have some machine which will help you find out whether a person is on drugs. So that also needs to be used in a larger way. And we need to, as earlier we mentioned, the media. They spoke about highlighting achievements. Mathabhumi has Nanma, it has Seed, and various newspapers, they just maybe to promote their circulation, whatever. But still they have programs for children. Why can't we have certain sections just for success stories, where we have children who have done well, not just in studies, but also in other things, not only agriculture, in arts and crafts, in sports, in speaking, in helping the community. Well, children need to feel good when they know that they are recognized. So I think, and also, can we bring up stories of parents who have helped their children come out from drugs, who have kept their children away from drugs, and from children who are willing to share their experiences. Keep them anonymous, but at least the stories should be there, the narratives should be there. We need to have schools which will use the statutory authorities, go to the district administration, go to the police, go to the excise department, use their local bodies to change and remove all these, temptations for children, where they can easily, with the availability of drugs, when they get into contact with the peddlers, and when they are used as peddlers. So these things can be nipped in the bud if teachers are vigilant, parents are vigilant, and if there's closer contact between parents and their own children, and between children and the teachers. Teachers are now very afraid to confront students. Teachers are afraid to correct the children or discipline the students because our children are so sensitive. The moment they get scolded, they refuse to come to school, they complain against the teacher. Some of them even take the drastic measure of ending their lives. We have so many stories. And what happens? The entire school, the teacher, etc., everybody has to take the blame. We have had many experiences, I have worked also in women protection, child protection, sexual violence against children and women. We find that the more you develop tourism, the more you need to be vigilant. Because I know of many schools where even young boys just drop out of school during the high tourism season. They just are paid huge amounts to keep company with adults, men especially, and this is something which we would call sex tourism, which needs to be curbed. And teachers are the first. Usually most of the mothers are happy when the money comes in. They don't bother to ask, or they're too afraid to ask. We need to, the teachers, church authorities, at least in Kerala, where church authorities are quite a strong force to reckon with, they could be used for this. Why don't we use the resources we have? At least to alert, if you cannot go directly, I don't think any priest will feel bold enough to go and report to the police that here is a shop selling them. But you could use the collective strength of the community to complain. Use a local body. I have tried this in some places, it has worked. We don't have time. Moderator must have to stop now. So, we have peer support, somebody mentioned it here, very important. And Ernakulam and Thrissur, Kozhikode have got excellent examples of student police cadets. And it was started by a police officer who named it Our Responsibility to Children. And what happened? Students began to take up the role of mentors of their own friends, their own classmates. And they began to help them come out of this. So this is something we have to encourage to a larger extent all over the place. And I think at least RMSA and the new program should accredit good NGOs who can work hand in hand with you in our adolescent good health of adolescents. There are so many NGOs in our state, people who can do very good work. Let us use them. I think you have to take a leaf from the experience of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. I know very closely that they use NGOs to a very large extent because they have parameters. The work is set up for them, and they do the work for you. They report to you, so you have no problem. They won't take credit. They won't take the credit. They will help you. Well, if they deserve credit, please give them. But otherwise, they are willing to work. Use them. I think we need not work in compartments anymore because children are our greatest asset. And I can go on forever, so I have to stop now. Children, women, all these are my pet subjects. But we need to invest in our children, make them feel responsible, and most of all, we need to feel responsible for our children. As one of our presentations, the accountability is on the society. If one child goes wrong, if one child uses drugs, it means that I and you have failed them. It's not just the parents, it's the whole of society. I think it's high time we take that. And as all the father said a while ago, we are all made for goodness. We are made to be good people and to share in the big goodness, great good. So it is our duty, those of us who are so privileged to be sitting here and talking about the others, they are us, they are us. Let us keep it that way. And when we go out from here, Diana, please have a real action plan. Rope in all people who are here and ask them to be with you wherever you go. And the government, I'm sure, I'm actually planning to meet the education minister with some of my thoughts. I hope he will listen to me. And because I have done some things before like this, I go with the talk to them, and fortunately, people listen. So I hope, please pray that when I talk to the Minister of Education regarding certain things which disturb all of us in the education sector, some of them get done. Thank you very much, and I hope this.